here we go. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Quantum Show, Quantum Panel Time. And we've got Keith and Lynn. Welcome back to the Quantum Panel. Thanks for coming, y'all.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks for inviting us.
Good topic set tonight. Of course, Bigfoot, the research, and it just makes no sense. And that's part of the appeal of the Bigfoot research. And this tech outage that we had, that was global, that was Microsoft oriented, and it was just a joke. I'm glad they fixed it.
Well, I got a Wookiee in the corner. Does that count?
A Wookiee?
Yeah.
We got verification.
Yeah, Wookiee.
Tech
I
Wookiee.
got a Wookiee.
He fixed Tech Wookiee fixed the internet.
He already did.
But you should mention Wookiee because did y'all see the thumbnail for the show? It's Bigfoot.
Okay.
Let me.
Well, I'll tell you what. He's walked into places that are kind of on the dim side. Just dark.
Right.
And I've heard glass shattering. Like what the hell is that?
Here is my thumbnail today.
Oh, nice.
He's a robot.
He's great.
He's a remote control robot. That's the thumbnail today. Welcome everybody to the Quantum Panel. Everybody, we got people already here. So far, it's Aussie and Tim. Welcome back.
Hi, guys.
And yeah, I'm talking Bigfoot. And okay, Keith, I know you're not a researcher, but I know you've got some experience with these guys. And you say, what is your take on the Bigfoot that you have met? Where were you?
Number one, I can't tell you exact. I can tell you I was on Vancouver Island. But I was only Vancouver Island. It's you know where Vancouver, BC is.
Okay, yeah.
Head west about 18 miles.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And Vancouver Island is about, I think, about 300 miles long. Right. I was somewhere on the island. Dad took us camping. Right. So all I know is we were camping somewhere on the island, and Dad taking us out into the woods somewhere, and parked in a clearing. We weren't even at the campsite, but we were there, and I went wandering off. Now, understanding I could get lost inside of 10 feet of the campsite. So I walk into the bush.
You could get lost in a silo, couldn't you?
I can get lost in my own bathroom.
I'm teasing you a little bit.
I mean, my ability to get lost is second to, as far as I'm aware, it's second to none.
Hey, Renee.
But I got lost, and I was in tears pretty quick because I had no clue where I was heading. And a Bigfoot. Now I've been only 6 years old-ish, and this Bigfoot that was twice my height, he come up, and it was just a little guy, and I knew he was young, but he come up and caught me by the hand and led me back to where his mom and dad were sitting having a meal. Okay. But this guy, like this kid, was really gentle, but that was nothing compared to the mom and dad, right? Because they had already learned how to handle humans to start with. So mom gets me up on her lap, and rest assured, that fur of theirs is soft. Have a second. I will be right back, guys. I will finish that in 10 seconds.
Okie doke. And here we
What
are,
happened?
just like Bigfoot.
What the
Gone.
hell happened?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe they're knocking on the door. Maybe the kid came back to say, "Hey, you left this at dinner."
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, and he's back.
Yeah.
I believe we were talking
Oh, there
about
we go.
family first. I forgot to mention my number 2 song that I was going live.
Okay,
Okay.
we talked it.
But anyway, this teenager led me back to their campsite. Mom picks me up and puts me on her lap. Right? And I'll tell you, if you think they look shaggy, it's nothing compared to how soft they really are. So she holds on to me until she can get me to stop crying. Sets me back down. Dad clears a bunch of stuff out of the way, a bunch of debris off the ground.
Hi, Ryan.
And,
Hi, Raven.
And he turns around, right, and showed me there's a clearance. And then he indicated that he wanted to know where I was. Well, I couldn't tell him where we were. All I knew was the camper was rectangular. So I drew a box just to say, that's home. Well, he took one look at it and goes, picks me up in the crook of his arm and books. Like, he's very calm about it. But when I say he books, I mean, he was just walking. Right. But when you're that size, when you're clearing 9 feet, one step takes you a long distance.
Yeah.
The woods didn't matter. You know, the deadfalls and what have you didn't matter. He brought me to the edge of the clearing, set me down again. And when I say he put his hand across my back, he put one hand that spanned the entire breadth of my shoulders and all the way down to the small of my back, and gently pushed me into the clearing. Well, of course, as soon as I saw Dad, well, I forgot all about them. Right. But people, I hear people going, oh, they're a violent race. I'm like, if what I ran into is any indication, violence is not in their vocabulary.
We project an awful lot with people, all people, whether it's dog folks or cat kitties or Bigfoot. We assume they have our emotions. They don't. They have their version of it.
Yeah, but they are very different.
Yeah, they're different. And just like aliens that we've talked about back and forth this past week, they are a whole different race. And they have similarities, I'm sure. But the way they think is probably a whole different matter.
Well, it was pretty clear from my interaction with them anyway that they had no interest in, like, they didn't see me as a threat. They didn't see Dad as a threat. They didn't see the box as a threat. It was just, okay, here's a youngster that just is lost. Get it back to where it's no longer essentially lost, and we'll leave it alone.
Okay.
So, I mean, from my standpoint, when I hear people talking about how violent they are, knowing what I know about the other races, I'm absolutely certain that what people are running into that are violent aren't Bigfoot.
Right. Tim is saying, in regards to likening them to human anthropomorphism, where we want everything to be relatable to us, and it just isn't. It just is not relatable to us. And
much of it isn't.
Right. Because way different. Okay, I got a question. Keith, when you were there and they were eating their meal, what were they eating? Did you notice? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, I actually ate some of it. They were eating nuts and berries and that sort of thing.
Okay, so they were like foraging stuff?
They do eat small animals. You could tell this because there were some carcass. They didn't offer me one. Mind you, it had already been eaten, so that's probably a good thing. You know,
Right.
but they are omnivorous. But the thing is, they are not. They aren't aggressive. What they were dealing with was things like pine nuts. You know, a little bit of there. They had, and I have no idea. You guys may know some sort of moss that actually was a little. It was a little on the salty side, right? But wherever they got it from, I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah, there is all kinds of fauna that or flora that is edible. I got books over here just in my part of the country.
Yes.
So much. And I was just talking with my sister earlier that everything in the backyard, she has researched it and she can go, that makes this, that makes this, that makes this. It's all edible. And if you prepare things a certain way, it's medicinal or it's just a dish that you can eat. All of it, every bit of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
My grandma used to pick up dandelions and throw a few onions in there, and we had dandelions for dinner.
Right.
Like a hot salad.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, we never actually did that, and we probably should have, because our where I was growing up, our lawn was more yellow than green at certain points of the year.
Oh yeah. You had to do it when they were young, or they would be bitter. But they were good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what they were eating. So it was vegetarian tonight. They were doing.
Vegetarian. Yeah, it was a vegetarian snack.
No, it's called eating because you needed to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, I mean, they were very, very generous.
You were lucky. Yeah, if you were lucky to throw some bacon in there, you know.
Yeah. Except they don't do that.
You know, I talked to Mike from Long Island Bigfoot, and everybody is talking about bringing apples, and he talks about bringing apples, and several people bring bananas, and they're all old and stuff. I'm like, y'all better learn and bring them buckets of chicken because that's going to be really good. They're going to really like that. And I thought about how would I bring buckets of chicken and linger in the woods with it without getting attacked by a predator? And I'm thinking,
make sure the chicken's dead first.
Well, yeah, but yeah, talking like fried chicken, you know.
Not that.
But
oh my god,
I would need one of them coolers to keep it warm and something to seal it up as best I could so the smell doesn't get out because I don't want, a mountain lion coming and taking all my chicken.
You don't want to parade through your campground?
No.
Because that's what you'd have. You did that.
Number one, they don't cook with fire, so don't worry about having it hot.
Cook.
Okay, well, they might be an interesting thing for them to have cooked food, It would be if they don't have fire, I'm pretty sure they don't have deep fryers, so
that's good bet.
Yeah. It would be interesting to take, and he jokes about it, and it was a joke for a long time between me and Mike. Oh, you and your bucket of chicken, bucket of chicken. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take him a bucket of chicken.
Damn it, it attracts the brother-in-law, don't it?
Yeah, but okay, so yeah, I know they're omnivorous because I've heard of them hunting, and I personally, now I know this is a personal experience show, but I have no experience with Bigfoot personally. I've never been on. They call it a Bigfoot hunt. I'm never. You don't hunt Bigfoot. Bigfoot.
It just doesn't make sense to me to go on a hunt.
No, I want to go.
Are they looking to kill one?
Some are. Some people are.
Well, that's reprehensible.
Yeah, mainstream science won't accept something that they can't get a dead sample of. That's just, and yeah, I agree, it is reprehensible.
Well, I'd like to have me a nice fat scientist. I don't believe they're alive unless they're dead.
Well, Lynn? You're going to have to start feeding him more.
Oh no, Tim, they are definitely not vegan. They are they eat meat. They just
I was gonna say that if they're mammals, they're not vegan.
No, definitely not. They will eat, and like I said, they don't go after big game. You won't find a Bigfoot ever going after a moose.
Right.
When a moose can take out a locomotive, Bigfoot won't go after it.
Right. It's just not. Why bother?
Yeah. I mean, is there truth to the fact there, Keith, that you really don't sound a horn going through Canada during rutting season?
My dad, the answer to it is this. We know it was a rookie engineer because he did it. But the rule of thumb on the railroad is if you're going through high country, through the moose country during rutting season, never touch your horn, ever. Because they made that mistake. This rookie did. He saw the moose on the track. Train was 15 cargo cars long. The engineer saw the moose and blew the horn.
Oh,
the moose took one look at him, right? Dropped his rack and braced. The train with the cowcatcher ran into the moose. 15 cars ended up in the bin. The moose shook his head and walked off.
Oh, that's terrific. I love hearing stories where the animal wins.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and the thing is, it wasn't even aggression. It was just guy blew the horn. He took it as a running call, as a challenge.
Oh, that's terrific.
I can't show you right now, but I've actually got the last piece of the railway rut of the railway track from that accident.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's somewhere in the collection.
Huh?
It'll be somewhere in the collection, right?
Actually, I know. I just have to leave the room.
Okay, well. Oh well, wait. It's not urgent, but
no.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, don't blow the horn at the moose during rutting.
Horn, you see a moose, dude. If it's in rutting season, do not honk your horn. It will stomp the life out of your engine.
Yeah. For everyone that is not familiar with how big a moose is, imagine a conversion van. The big ones from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And they're almost, moose are a little bit bigger than those. So, yeah, they're that big.
Yeah.
Or like a shuttle bus van.
Yeah.
That's what they got on their head.
Yeah, they're pretty large.
You know what, let me
my father-in-law liked to hunt in the day. Yeah, when I was first with my husband, he said, "I want you to come on out here. I got something to show you. I'm real proud of it, and I'm yeah, okay, sure, why not, He brings out this head of a deer or a moose. I think the thing's huge.
Well,
was a deer. This thing is huge. That's just a deer. Elk. Okay.
Elk are big.
Elk's pretty good size too.
Elk is, but the moose is bigger.
Oh yeah, for sure. But he shows me this thing and he goes, "What do you think of that?" Oh yeah, there you go. And I looked at it. I think the idea was to upset me. Okay. Because it worked on Frank's ex-wife, and I looked at it. It's wonderful, marvelous, swell. I said, "You got any meat?" And he goes, "Well, yeah." I said, "Oh boy, can we have some?" And I was good friends with his father ever since. That sort of thing doesn't upset me really. I'm farm kid,
Okay.
Oh yeah. No,
as Bigfoot goes.
Here
I've
is a
I've
go ahead.
seen them. I saw one in Ohio, up
Yeah.
near the uh, west West Branch State Lakes. This is not a small area; it's huge.
Right.
And we had decided to go camping over the weekend, and my ex and I were, well, he was on afternoons. I was working in the afternoons too. So we got everything together and hopped in the car and went camping. And because we could go until about Tuesday morning. And next to the road, my window was open. I smelled this thing before I saw it. And we weren't going all that fast, but this thing was standing next to the road. And I looked at it and I said, "Is that a person?" And Miller says, "Well, gee, I think so." But as we got closer, this thing just kept getting bigger, because the perception of like,
Well,
and it looked at us and we looked at it, and I still can't make sense of what I saw. I was so surprised by it, and it just hopped back into the woods because we were driving in woods.
right.
But it was huge.
Well, I mean, yeah, I was just thinking I must have only been 3 or 4 years old at the time. But the pad, like as you know, with the moose horns, it's like they got two massive paddles.
Right.
I could lay down on a moose paddle.
Yeah.
Dad did bring. We had one hanging over our shed for the longest time. Right, but they're 6.5, 7 feet across.
These are females.
Excuse me.
Bless you. These appear to be female moose.
Those
next
are.
to an Xterra.
I was gonna say that's not a male.
Why does it look like he ended up kicking the stuffing out of the window?
Oh, he isn't. He's licking the window or sticking his face in there.
Don't mind me. Our eyes are a little screwy on occasion. Yeah, okay.
And there's two of them. One is facing.
That's where the problem is.
Right. That makes sense.
Supposed to be for you.
Mm-hmm. But these are small ones. These are not the bull moose. These are that's a Nissan Xterra. That's a big truck. Okay, it's not the biggest of trucks, but it's a big truck, and you could see they're both kind of doing this number. They're not straight up as far as they just normally stand.
Well, let me put it this way.
That's not an older moose either. That thing is only a youngster.
A young cow.
Yeah, these are small ones.
Yeah.
Nerd is saying, "Hey, all Carnunder's saying they're small." Yeah, they are small.
A bull moose, his shoulder would come over that hood.
Yep.
Over that roof.
I'm gonna see if I can find one. I'm just gonna. Here we go. Here we go.
I'm gonna freak y'all out. Laugh
this
there.
This is a nice crouching down. Okay, this is you're gonna like this. Very similar truck. He's crouching down.
Yeah, he is.
That is
where his shoulder is.
Yeah, his shoulder is above the top of the car. What kind of car is
like
that?
A small one of those guys brings in a minimum of 1,600 pounds of meat.
Yeah, there are two males there, and they're both eating the tires. No, he's not. They're not eating the tires. They're standing there. They're checking it out. And these are bull moose, but they don't even look like as big as I've seen.
No, I've seen them bigger than that.
Yeah, that's
in my opinion, that's a small one.
That is a small one. All right, let me see if I can find.
When I was a kid, there was a museum in Scioto, Ohio, that was part of the pottery there. the pottery factory, and they had a wonderful museum. The man that owned the pottery was a trophy hunter and a taxidermy collector. Collector of odd things.
Yes.
He had some really humdinger stuff, like a polar bear that was actually taller than the ceiling. They had to raise the ceiling to accommodate this thing, and they had a moose in there, and it was bargain huge.
Yeah. I don't think the moose are the big ones. Here's a good one. Here's a good shot. I got to do it the hard way. Hold on.
You're going to put it up piece at a time because you can't get it all on screen?
Well, no. I got to download it and then show it. It's just one of them things.
Well, you got to admit that would be the harder way.
Yeah. It is. It definitely is. This is a much better picture. Here.
Now, as far as hearing screaming in the woods, that's usually a cat.
Yeah, that's better.
That little fella there is trying to molest a truck.
Oh, I don't know if he's trying to do that. He looks to be about maybe 4 feet away from the back of that truck, judging by distance and shadows and all that.
Yeah,
he looks to be about
actually pretty close if you look at the bottom shadow.
Right, he is really close. He's about maybe 4 foot or so away from the back of that truck. He's a big guy. Now, this is the kind of, you see that? I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, but you see that thing hanging down from his...
Yeah, his waddle.
His what?
Yeah.
Waddle.
Is that what it's called? Okay.
Yeah, it's called a waddle. Just like on a
turkey or a rooster.
Yeah.
So waddle.
But it would have been something that size that went up against the 15 cargo hauler.
Yeah.
That shook its head and walked off.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, with size comes the muscle. Okay, anyway, just for conundrum. He is right. They get smaller when they have to live around humans. Just the way they are. It's the way all the creatures in the woods are.
Well, there's less to eat too.
Right,
and that has a great deal to do with it.
Yeah. But anyway,
SMOL. We used to do what?
I don't know what it means.
I choose not to smile. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, but
I don't know with some of the stuff that comes over there. I'm afraid to ask.
Well, sometimes it's simply it's a new acronym that comes out.
Oh, okay. Small.
It's a typo.
No, it's a meme. It's a meme. It's part of a meme. A bunch of memes.
Choose not too small. Okay, got it.
But anyway, getting back to that was a size comparison because if a Bigfoot had to eat a deer or a moose, he's going to go for a deer or berries or something.
Yeah, because that moose will kill him.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
Moose is good.
Moose is good. I get it when I can here.
Yeah. Elk too.
But you got to remember, you saw the size of that. Okay. Now, you saw the size of that moose. The father of the one I met would look him eye to eye.
He's a big one.
Okay.
Yeah. This is why I say when people say they're violent and they're vicious animals, it's like you've never met one, have you?
Yeah. I the only time I've heard of violent Bigfoot, the only time is when there is believe it or not, when there's a dog man involved or when there are lots of humans out camping. Those are the only times. And when it's humans involved, it's always with a fear slant. Everything that all the human
Right.
reports is like colored with fear first. And I go with, well, what were you scared of? Well, it was big. Cars are big and you drive a truck.
My husband's big. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, there's a lot of big stuff out there. I'm not like
Yeah.
I'm in a like there are trains. I'm not scared of trains, but I know not to get in front of one because they're big, but that doesn't make them inherently scary, you know.
I got no problem walking in front of a train if it's parked.
Right. Right. Context is important there.
Yeah.
So it was big. And okay,
Yeah.
Lynn, you said you smelled it. What did it smell like?
Oh, just nasty. As best I can describe it, kind of an outhouse kind of smell mixed
Oh,
up with
I hear that a lot.
dead smell, you know?
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, the one I keep getting people talking to me about is it smells like wet dog.
Well,
But more accurately, in my eyes, stale wet dog.
Okay, I have a question regarding that. So now there are reports like yours, stale wet dog or wet dog, and then there are more other reports like Lynn's, where it smells like rotten garbage, dead things, something putrid.
yeah.
Okay,
She don't know what he was dining on either.
Exactly.
I want to not go there yet, but
Okay.
I do want to say, what is that a defense mechanism? Is that like a I would think that that would be a gland because if I get around something that smells bad, I'm gonna be like, I wanna leave. I wanna go away. If
Yeah.
You know,
No.
that makes sense.
It's
It really
not a defense
does.
mechanism.
Say again,
It's
Keith?
called communication.
How do you mean?
They can tell each other by scent.
Okay.
They
And
also communicate phermonally. It's
all right,
not
well,
just the hoots and the thumps is to communicate with other people because with other denizens. Most animals will pick up on scents. Humans don't.
right. Well,
Yeah.
I would pick up on it for sure. Not
Well, to finish my story though, we stopped where it was. We looked for it. I looked for tracks. There wasn't any tracks, and it had been raining ahead of that. And there wasn't
Yeah.
even knocked down grass, you know, where a thing would have passed through, even though there was copious amount of grass, you know. But as far as smelling it, I you know, I smelled it first. And then
Oh
of
yeah.
course as I got nearer to that spot, the smell was much higher.
Mhm. All right, so it was a form of communication. What
Maybe.
Yeah.
Keith, do you have any idea what that putrid, garbagey, rotten smell was supposed to be communicating, or we need more information?
The smell, the putrid smell, is more an issue. It's more likely whatever they had for dinner, probably recently.
Okay. Okay. Because I've heard that so many times from so many people say it smelled putrid like garbage, dead things. That's what I've heard, but I've heard that from a couple of things. So it makes me think it's maybe not.
Well,
No,
let me
it's
ask
an
you this.
interesting. Okay, go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Do you like the smell of lavender?
Yes, I do.
What happens if you get an overabundance of lavender?
It becomes unbearable, and it's like I
It
want to get away
becomes
from it.
It's
putrid
cloying
or
and
get away.
sticky.
Yeah.
Okay, so it becomes a repellent.
It can become a repellent. The same thing.
So
No.
the human repellent?
It will chase off a number of things.
Right. I was thinking probably everything repellent because I
Oh
don't
no,
know.
yeah.
Huh? Go ahead.
I was thinking a predator would find that attractive.
Not when you find out what the Bigfoot can do to a predator.
Right. Then you have association. Because once like children, or not children, but young critters, right?
Yeah.
Puppies, dogs. If a dog smells sees a puppy, but can't now we're talking dogs, because dogs do smell really
Yes.
is a main sense.
That's their
And they
thing.
go up. Now, they've seen big dogs, they've seen little dogs. They go up and they smell, it's a puppy, they run away. Not because it smells bad, but because they have associated that with angry mom somewhere close. So,
Yeah.
there you go. There's association right there. So, I'm I'm going with, if a predator smells the putrid Bigfoot smell, they'll be like, "Oh, I don't want to be here. I know what that means. It's the big guys out there, and I'm gonna get gone."
Yeah, the little guy may be takeable. The big one, not so much.
Right. So, Keith, when you were visiting with those guys in the woods that day, you didn't smell that, did you?
You got to remember, my sense of smell was nothing to write nice things home about.
Okay, well, I mean, if it was really strong, you would have remembered it,
If it
or
was
you
really
would.
strong, I would.
Right. So,
You know, thinking about it, I could, like, there was changes that were going on between them, but nothing that stood out, nothing at all that made my stomach turn.
right. Tim is saying putrefaction means death. Right. And using that smell would be associated with death, with
Yeah.
danger, with bad, with stay away. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
But no, I did not have that kind of a smell.
all
I
right.
didn't pick that up at all.
Right. Because let me tell you, when I was in the cemetery, the smell was of dirt. And
Yeah.
I will remember, I mean, because the woodsy dirt, not graveyard dirt, but woodsy dirt. And I will always associate that with that back there.
That
Yeah.
and there was a lot of, well, you suddenly had fog. That too has its odor.
Right. Well, there was
Yes,
no
it does.
fog. It wasn't fog, it was blurry. It was as if light was being affected, not fog.
No, I get
Blurry.
it. Okay.
Different. That's different.
So, yeah, dew has its smell as well.
Very much.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, in the morning, I can smell it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
even disturbed dew has a different scent than dew.
And Aussie is saying, I've heard of Bigfoot ripping apart wolves. Right. Well, Bigfoot is like much. The wolves, if the wolves are our size, Bigfoot is 4 times their size. So,
Right.
Oh yeah.
And wolves are not small. They are
and
big animals.
they're
Oh
big.
yeah. I was lucky. You remember reading about Farley Mullet, the guy that laid out the whole family thing about wolves. I was lucky in kindergarten. I met him and his timber wolf.
Oh, okay, sure.
Well, I couldn't see over the timber wolf's shoulder.
Right.
They're big. I met a small one. I met a small one in Colorado. It was this big, right?
Yeah.
That was
Was that his back or his shoulder?
the back.
Yeah.
That was the back. The shoulder, I didn't. Okay, now I'm estimating because she was in a big fence. The fence was like 12 feet tall.
Mm.
And this was a wolf preserve. And that she was a small one. And I'm only estimating because I was like, here's where the fence was, here's where I was standing, and the fence was right here, but her ground level was like that. And she was up to here on me, and she was little. She was a little. There were bigger ones walking
Well,
around.
the fact it was a she would make it little right off the bat, because the male timbers they're just gargantuan.
Right.
Yeah.
And none of them would come to me.
Yeah.
None of them would
Females are some smaller, but the males are just monsters.
There's a guy I follow on the socials, right? I keep wanting to say TikTok, I don't, but whatever.
Social media.
Social media, and he has wolves that they're not exactly pets, because you don't make a pet wolf, right?
No, you really don't.
You never do. You might say you do, and they're wolves. They're not wolf dogs.
They'll hang with you as long as you're decent with them.
Right.
But
And
as far as you domesticating them,
no, they are never pets. Never.
What you do is you become a member of their family, not
right. And you become the pack leader, or you get mauled, or or they leave and they become the pack leader somewhere else.
You call it mauling, I call it lunch.
Right.
Yeah.
And but these were purebred. I don't have a link for. I didn't know we were going to go here, right?
Shock of shocks on the Quantum Show. You didn't know we were going to go somewhere.
I know.
Prepare for all contingencies. Got a Wikipedia, hadn't he?
Yeah. But let me see if I can find this guy. It's Lion Daddy or something. No, that's not that. That's liquor. I've never even, or a musical artist. I have no clue. Wolf. No. Okay. Well, yeah, there's no making them a pet anyway. I don't need to get that.
No, you do not make a pet out of a wolf. Farley was Farley was extremely clear on that.
Yeah, they're family, or they're gone. They just will leave. They'll go do their own thing.
The only reason he could raise his was because he got it from a pup with no interaction.
Right. Raised as a domestic dog, but they still have that. They still have those instincts.
Oh yeah,
sure.
And they will quite readily eat something if it's a problem, or someone.
Mm-hmm. They still have those same instincts. But yeah, talking about a Bigfoot would rip apart a wolf. Yes, because that's the way of the woods, right? I mean,
well, that and the fact that the wolves will go after baby Bigfoot.
Right. Oh yeah, wolves will go after Bigfoot.
Well, yeah. Well, it's the law of the fittest.
Mm-hmm.
You live out there, you got to run by the rules.
Just because they're paranormal doesn't make them exclusionary to the natural process.
I don't know if they're paranormal or not. I think they're extremely reclusive. I think they may be actually part of the part of the world as we know it. We just missed it.
Oh,
and well, how did you miss it? Well, they don't want to be found.
See, the funny thing is, this is why Dave and I agree to disagree.
Yeah, go ahead, Keith. Take it away.
Yeah. Well, because of the fact that, I am absolutely certain they evolved here. Dave is absolutely certain they are not terrestrial. But he and I have agreed, we don't argue the point with each other. It's just, we agree to disagree and carry on.
Well, and how would you prove it one way or the other at this point?
Exactly why we don't bother.
Right. It makes a great discussion, but I'm not going to get mad about it. Why get mad about it?
That's the silly part.
Yeah. Well, some people are very attached to their opinion, and whether they have facts or whether they don't, it's the material to it.
Right.
Well, you've heard the old saying, "Don't bother me and don't bother me with your facts.
Yeah.
Right.
In gaming, we call it don't bring logic into my fantasy.
Yeah. Right. Like that's where I have looked at the research, and I saw a presentation by Jeff Moultrie, the Bigfoot researcher. He is, in his mind, he is 100% certain that they are just animals that have not been seen because they're so elusive. And I have to disagree with that because too
They
many
have been seen.
well, there's no samples. There's no clear pictures. And there was a funny joking thing put forth. Is Bigfoot just blurry? Like, it's not the fault of the camera. It's not that you don't have a tripod, but is Bigfoot blurry? Like, is that just so, like,
Bigfoot-
To vibrate, you mean?
huh?
Does it
Essentially,
vibrate? I'm
they do
sorry.
vibrate, but what they do is they ruffle their fur.
Right.
Like a cat
Okay.
might.
So, yeah, the way our cameras have always worked is they pick up visible light. And when you mess with visible light, you mess with the camera's pickup. Even this camera works with visible light. And just because, so yeah, you know what? Bigfoot is blurry because of the way their bodies mess with light. Now, that doesn't, okay, so people have said, well, I was standing right there. I've heard people say, I was standing right there and I took the picture. I was looking at him when I took the picture, and the picture is all blurry. Well, there's something we have that the cameras don't have, and that's we have the third eye. We have our perception. I call it the quantum link. We have our perception in that other dimension that the camera just cannot pick up.
You can't compensate for the micro.
For the what?
The static camera cannot compensate for microfluctive fluctuations.
Right.
Whereas the human eye can.
Right. We're doing it right now. Scientifically, we have a black spot in front of our vision. We should see it all the time, but our brain's correct for it. And they do something that we, like you said, we correct for it. Okay. And this is where, and Meldrum and I disagree. Of course, he's the big funded researcher, and I'm the quantum show. Right. But, I wanted to ask him, what about this, what we're talking about here? And I got in line to ask the question, but oh no, I was like, I am in the wrong room for that because these guys who were asking questions, they were like fanboy questions. And I was like, I'm not even gonna, he's not gonna want to go there with this crowd. You know how you read the room? And he was doing the same thing. He was reading the room. And I decided to leave it alone and say, nah, I'm not going to ask a question. Oh, Moody Mongol comes up. Let's see. Given what groups like the military have done with creatures like dolphins, using them to lay underwater mines and detonate underwater mines, by the way, let's hope they haven't found Bigfoot and tried to use them. That's why I brought up Mount St. Helens. They won't have it. They won't have it. The Bigfoots won't have it. They resisted. They don't want to do it. They don't want to work with humanity. And Keith, I'm with you when you say they are an ancient race. They've been here forever. They know about us. They've been watching us, and they're doing their own thing. And I think they're paranormal. But then what is the paranormal to us? Normal.
Yeah.
It's normal.
I mean,
So,
they fit the bill of being paranormal. You don't see them walking downtown New York, walking downtown Toronto. You just don't. Although I have seen people that walk like them.
Yeah. I'm guilty sometimes. There's a lot of people, like a lot of the guys I work with, they look like that. And
Yeah.
but okay, but and hence Mount St. Helens. They were working with the military because we're talking about a volcano. Okay, they were caught in the area of the area of affectation of that volcano, and
Ooh.
everybody was getting evacuated, including the Bigfoot. I remember hearing this from. He was a National Guardsman that was brought out to help with the evacuation
Right.
of people and animals.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy said there were Bigfoot there. They put them on deuce and a halves and deuce and a halves, right? This is the 80s. I don't think the 5-ton was even around by then. But
In the 80s, the 5-ton was. It was just rare.
oh, okay. So I guess it was just expensive new tech. But deuce and a half trucks, they were common. They've been common since World War II.
Oh God, yeah.
So they were getting out. Now, this National Guardsman was part of a detail. He was called out and he was like, hey, go over here. And we're going to evacuate the animals, the people and the animals. Now, the animals can get out of the way pretty much, but there's always the wounded. You know, we're talking a volcano. We have we as humans, we can put it on paper how much energy is released, but then again, we can't really imagine what the effects of that energy are.
Oh Lord, no.
We just it's out of our.
You can see the side effects.
Yeah, we can watch it all happen, and okay, so that's what this guy was like. There were 2 of them in this truck, and
Well,
two.
they ran out of room, man.
Right, there were 2 of them in that truck, and one of them
Yeah.
was badly. One of them, they were all in bad shape. Right, they were both in bad shape. There were more, but he only saw the 2, and he saw 2 of them in the back of this deuce and a half. Deuce and a half is a big truck. Okay, these guys were hurt. There was one. I think he said it was on the ground, and all right. I need to remember the story. I think this was actually on Dave's show. It could have been on Coast to Coast, but I don't. It's a long time ago. But he said that there was a military guy with a wounded Bigfoot, and like grievously wounded Bigfoot, and another one that was communicating with him, and they had to put him down. That's what he reported. I am
Oh.
not saying this is my story. This is what I heard on that other show.
Well,
And
given St. Helens, if he'd gotten burnt that badly, humans wouldn't have had the capacity to deal with that kind of burn.
right, they only
Not on
moved it along.
abnormal physiology.
Right, they can only bandage and move them along. And as far as I know, Bigfoot can heal themselves pretty good. You know,
They
they're
can.
they're pretty good at healing. You know,
But you
because
got to remember, their entire medicinal cabinet just got blown up, or was in the process of being blown up. It's not like they had time to collect.
right, it was Mount St. Helens. It was a massive eruption.
Well, if I remember correctly, Mount St. Helens lost a quarter of its height, did it not?
I believe. Right, yeah, right. And okay, yeah, that's thanks, Moody. This is interesting, but it's not really. Yeah, correct. Now back to Bigfoot. We're not talking about pollution tonight, and how bad humans are, and cows, and stuff. Okay,
Seriously.
but yes, Moody Mungo, correct. You are correct. However, Bigfoot. So, um, but that was that guy's story, and that's all he saw, and he had to sign an NDA, and of course, being in the military, you don't really have to sign an NDA. You're under orders, and then you were under UCMJ, but he's National Guard. He's not full time, so I don't know. There must be some gray area there. And yeah. So that was his story. Now that's a very Mount St. Helens is a very exceptional situation where they will go to they apparently they went to humans for help in that case. But I don't think they need us to help them heal. But then you're talking
No, they
magma
don't.
hitting. I mean, magma.
Magma burns right to the bone.
I don't. Right, it burns through. It doesn't stop. It's not like a hot iron where it starts to cool once it touches you. Right, magma is 6,000 degrees. It's like liquid stone. It's not cooling off because it goes through your arm or something.
No, it's
That's
just very, very hot.
It's gonna keep going. Okay, so it gets down to 5,000 degrees. It's still enough to burn straight through you. And even with the Bigfoot, their amazing healing abilities, they're not going to survive that.
No,
And
in a case like that, putting him down was definitely the most humane thing they could have done.
And according to the witness, they were working together. They weren't, oh my God, it's Bigfoot. They were expecting them to be there. That's what this particular detail was doing. They were there for the Bigfoot because volcano.
And my personal opinion, of course, I wasn't on St. Helens at the time. I mean, we were cleaning up the ash from it, but Bigfoot would have returned to the humans anyway to get out of the area, because humans can, with a vehicle, move faster than Bigfoot can, and especially when they're wounded.
Right. I can believe that. And going back to the Bigfoot's ability to disappear from some kind of reality, that's been witnessed. People have said they just blinked, they just walked into nothingness. Well, that doesn't mean the volcano is not going to hurt them, right? The volcano, let's go back to the amount of energy released by this volcano, any volcano. It's going to be so much, it's going to go across multiple spectrums of densities. And this is.
Well, yeah, it's not going to matter whether you can see it. It's going to create havoc.
Right. And I have heard of stories now. This is some really far out stories where, well, UFOs have been seen near volcanoes, right? They don't seem to be affected, but they're UFOs. And they're very close, and they seem to be coming in and going out. And the one, it was East Coast, United States. I want to say there was a chain of islands out by off the East Coast of the United States, like far away.
Well, if you think about it from the UFO standpoint, they deal with star surfing. Okay, with refueling with by proximity to stars. A volcano doesn't anywhere near that kind of energy output.
Right, they're already geared to deal with that kind of energy. However, they're being seen. So I am not going to assume what's going on there, right? But they're ready to deal with that kind of energy because they refuel as stars. Gotcha. And okay. Tim is saying the amount of energy released by volcanic eruptions even alters weather in outer space. Very correct. Very, very correct. It has not been witnessed. It's been witnessed on Earth, and it's been witnessed on other planets in the solar system through telescopes and stuff like that, where the atmosphere will expand over. I think it was Mars, right? Or it wasn't Mars. I don't remember. But yeah, there is so much energy that even Bigfoot cannot withstand it. So they went to the humans. The humans were already there anyway. That's just what I'm gathering from what I've read about. I was a
It's a
little kid.
reasonable assessment.
Right. And even though I wasn't there, I'm reading and hearing all these reports from other people. So, yeah, Bigfoot and volcanoes. That's a trip. Otherwise, now and going back to Meldrum, right? Uh yeah, they can hide really good, but they're not dumb animals.
No.
If they were, we'd know about them by now. And he uses the silverback gorilla as an example of a cryptid that's a regular animal. We just didn't know about it. Yeah, well, we found out about it. Yeah, and they're very elusive in the wild. However, there are traces. They were considered monsters because silverback gorillas are silverback gorillas.
Well,
Just
they're
like
huge in their own right.
right.
Oh Lord, yeah.
Right. Okay, Tim is saying it was Jupiter. So is Joe. Joe saying there's Jupiter. And it was on Jupiter. So okay, yeah, we saw it. We witnessed it. And it affected the space outside. See, that's why I will stop myself. If I think I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna stop myself. I'm not gonna talk out my analogous right there. So I am away from the Meldrum thing because he says, "Oh, it's just unexplained why the footprints stop. It's just unexplained why." I just watched a video today. It showed I don't think it was a Bigfoot. I think it was something else, but it was something stealing chickens out of somebody's barn, right? And it was a little shed with a definitely big latch made of wood that you had to open up. And they went out at 1 a.m. and there were a couple of chickens gone and there were tracks in the fresh snow. They followed the tracks. They followed the tracks into the forest, into federal land. Uh-oh. And not only that, there was a fallen tree and it walked through the snow as if the tree wasn't even there. The tree wasn't broken through. It was all these dry, dead branches. None of them snapped. He went, look, and he just put his hand through it, and the branches snapped. None of them were snapped, but there were clear footprints. But it didn't look like Bigfoot footprints. The channel said it was Bigfoot, but the footprints were like small. They were not big at all. They were small. And it was what happened was they went through the tree. So of course they're making a big loud racket and they went out on snowmobile. So they're big loud racket and they went out at 1 a.m. in the woods. By the way, don't ever do that. Anyone, don't ever do that. I don't care where you're at. Don't go in the woods at 1 a.m. for any reason.
You're just asking for a problem.
Right. Don't do that voluntarily. Just suck it up and drive on about the chickens. Okay.
There is one point where I will say go out in the woods voluntarily at 1 o'clock in the morning. If you happen to be working search and rescue and some genius has gone out in the woods, sorry, but it is a voluntary issue to go dig it back.
I will give you another thing. If there's a volcano,
get off your tail feathers and
get
run
out,
like a
go to the woods.
Yeah.
No, don't go to the woods. Get the hell away from there.
I don't think the woods is in there.
I will say we have two reasons to go in the woods at 1 a.m. after Bigfoot. Volcano rescue mission for another dumbass that went out in the woods at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So we have two good reasons. Otherwise, don't do it. I don't care if
And
you
the
got
first one is
snowmobile.
a good
Don't go by
You
yourself
gotta have a
anyway.
different option than the woods.
Yeah.
Because the wood, the fire in the tree and the tops of the trees will move faster than the magma will.
Right. Okay. It's a catch-22. But
Do your best to avoid it.
Right.
You know?
But in this video, the prints were not big. They were little. I mean, they were like smaller than human prints, but they were wide apart. So I don't know what it was. It could have been something totally unrelated, but they were saying it was Bigfoot. They heard some noises, they heard some screeching, and the end of the video was Get it started. Get it started. Let's get out of here. It won't start. It won't start. And the camera cut out. So, dun, dun, dun.
It's clickbait.
I get a kick out of hunters like that.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to go down and get hunted and go hunt these things. And when they find them, they run like a rabbit.
Yeah, what the heck is that about?
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't run in the cemetery, but I didn't run and they were right in front of me. Speaking of just going after.
Where were you going to go?
I went,
You know?
Well, realistically, you run
Yeah,
in a cemetery, the ghost is going to outrun you. Home turf advantage and the ability to move from one spot to another without worrying about the obstacle really cuts down on your lead.
Yeah. Right. It wouldn't have mattered. So I just stood there. And witnessed the whole deal. But yeah, when people go after something and then they find it and they're like scared and running, what'd you go do that in the first place for? What'd you even go out for? Ghost hunters, UFOs, and Bigfoot. Why even go in the first place? Just stay home. Watch YouTube. Okay? Watch the Quantum Show. We'll tell you not to go in the woods at 1 a.m.
Seriously.
You know?
I mean, you got to be told.
See, I'm a little twisted. You know, like most people go, oh, I'm into sports hunting. I am 100% in favor of people going into the woods at 1 o'clock in the morning. But do understand I've got a very different outlook on the reason I would put them out there.
Mm-hmm.
You wanting to feed the animals or what?
Well, it's reasonable. There's a reason they live in the woods and not in houses.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can handle it.
Mm-hmm.
That's their environment.
That's their deal.
Aussie is saying Bigfoot probably hide their tracks. I don't think they do, dude. I think they can, but okay.
Well, do they make
Where
tracks?
That
might be a good question.
Yeah. Here's the question here. Where does a 200-pound parrot sit? Anywhere it wants.
Please.
Right. So why would a Bigfoot care to hide their tracks? People have taken casts and they've pictures and infrared of them. And by the way, the infrared never has shown anything. It's always shown the shape of the thing, but the infrared doesn't seem to be affecting the Bigfoot tracks, even if they're fresh.
They modify their own temperature to match the ambiance.
That makes sense because I've always seen physical tracks. I've seen there's a lot of. I mean, you do Bigfoot search in Google, hit pictures, tracks. It's all pictures of tracks, and none of the.
You remember what I mentioned about the way they modify their own optical disturbance.
Yes.
Like rustling their fur. The same thing keeps their temperature down.
Right. And that's something else. Mammalian.
It reflects it against something else.
Ultimately it is. It's kind of like breathing for them.
Okay. That's something. Me and Meldrum got a disagreement. If they are mammals that we haven't found, why doesn't infrared work on them? As we know, all mammals, when their body temperature goes down, they're hurting. Okay. Bears, let's just go with Meldrum's logic for a second. He has said that bears hibernate. Well, they're hibernating. They're not walking around. If I go out in the woods right now and I take an infrared camera, heat sensing, I can see every critter out there because they're warmer than their environment. But I probably won't see a hibernating bear.
Probably not. They sleep in caves.
They sleep in caves and they lower their body temperature, but they're in a state of hibernation.
If you actually are silly enough to go into the cave, your infrared will likely pick them up.
Right, because it just, I mean, it's close quarters and
But
you're
how many people
underground.
go into a cave where they know a bear is sleeping? This is usually a bad idea.
Right, don't do that. It's up there with walking in the woods at 1 a.m. It's right there, right there. Bear cave,
Well, you might
1
come
a.m.
out of
woods.
the 1 a.m. woods, but you're not going to come away from a hibernating bear too well.
Oh,
Right.
sure you are.
You
You'll
wake
somehow
him up.
reach out to you.
Wake him up. It's all over but the crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the crying of the people you left behind,
Exactly.
not of yours. I think you got to remember.
Sorry, I'm noticing the time, and it's been over an hour, and me and Amy are out of coffee, so I'm gonna go get some coffee. Little break. Let me
Give me a sec.
leave
I'm going to
somebody,
get
let me
a
leave somebody here to. Right.
I'll be right back, Lynn.
Okay. Optical fur is your takeaway. As you know, it's an interesting concept, isn't it, Tim?
Watch for ghosts, because we already found Bigfoot.
Yeah, I see him there on the chair. I think we'll just wait for coffee.
Be right back. As we know, then we have to have our coffee.
Oh, yeah.
I got to move down over my eyesight is failing. I got to get new. I've got an appointment to get my new glasses, but
That'll be interesting, huh?
oh, it ought to be. I only require them for working on the computer and driving. I don't require them face to face anymore.
Well, that's good.
You know, if I'm reading an actual book, right, then I don't have a problem with it.
Thanks, Renee.
But no, the whole thing about Bigfoot, and this is all stuff that I'm looking at, that because Sasquatch isn't in Race of the Worlds, it is in Volume 2. I kind of overlooked it when I was putting it together, and then looked at it afterwards and went, wait a minute, we have a problem.
I think I need to. There we go. You hear me better that way.
Problem, but
you brought up some really interesting ideas about optical illusions, and there's other animals in the woods and in the desert, of course, that rely on camouflage and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Why wouldn't they?
Well, that's just it. And, Dave and I were talking about it one day, and I mentioned they are better at camouflaging than people are. And that's how they do it. It took me a little while to figure out, to remember how they did it.
And we're back.
The easy part. Hey, how you doing?
Well, too, and I don't know that much about Australia, but I do know the Aboriginals can quite literally disappear in front of your eyes. And
they do.
It makes sense that they learned that from somewhere.
Okay.
Thanks so much
I'm sitting right back down. Yes, thanks, Renee.
Yeah,
Talk
Renee,
to you soon.
good to see you.
Glad you liked it. Hit like, and thanks for being here. You're awesome. Okay. I'm looking at the chat now. Now I can look at the chat. Now I feel like I can look at the chat. And Tim is saying y'all are doing good. I know the boys must stress you out when they leave you alone for coffee. That must have been in response to something being said when I was not here.
I'm not sure.
Well, it's gonna have to do with you, Lynn.
Yeah, probably. My drinking coffee this late at night's a bad idea. I'll be up for the rest of the night. I might be anyway.
See, I'm lucky.
Yeah, it seems like lately.
Sleep.
Yeah, lately I've been trying. The doctors tell me don't drink coffee near bedtime, so I did that. Right? Can't sleep. I have a cup of coffee, go right to sleep.
You know why that is?
I do not.
You're hyperactive, right?
Yeah, high strung for sure.
Yeah. So am I. That coffee very likely acts opposite of it does for everybody else.
Yeah.
More of a sedative.
Yeah,
or relaxer.
Lets me be able to do better than not.
To put that to the test, how do you handle energy drinks?
I don't drink them at all because they all taste like paint.
Well, I can't argue with you on the flavor. But no, the reason I was asking is because the 5-hour energy drink, I'm gone inside of a minute of finishing it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'll be out for an hour flat.
And there you go. I had a drink of energy drink, and I was Tweety Bird for the next hour and a half. So
I have tried. It's been years since I had any of them. The last thing I drank was somebody talked me into drinking a Red Bull, and it was like 8 years ago.
Well, there's a reason they drink that with beer.
Yeah, it tasted like paint. And every time I smell one, now I smell paint.
I tell you, the only one of those I ever tried that actually I didn't mind the flavor on was there's a pop-out called Dank. Delta Alpha NATO Kilo. Dank.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you can even get it in the States.
I've never heard of it. I did drink. It was a coffee, right? It was an iced coffee. It was a Monster iced coffee.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I don't drink Monster. They knocked me out.
I liked it, but it didn't. It was right. It made me more drowsy than anything.
Yeah.
I was not.
You're wired backwards.
Yeah,
I am too. Because once I'm done with buzzing around for an hour, being high, I fall over.
Yeah, me too. I just crash out.
Well, at least you didn't do what the girl I knew in the bar did. She was sitting at the bar, and all of a sudden she disappears off the stool. She's got her beer upright. She didn't spill it. She screams out, "Somebody stole my stool!"
You've had enough, honey.
But circling back around to trying to stay on topic, the other part of the topic of today was the network outage, the operating system outage, and
Yeah.
I kind of wrapped it. I kind of talked about it the first hour, but that is networking 101. You do not make a single point of failure. That is a fail in every networking class that you can take. If you design a network with if one thing can take it down for any amount of time, that is a bad network. And that happened. Now, glad that they fixed it, but why are so many people Microsoft licensed all these operating systems to people, and it gave an open, I don't want to say a back door because it's more like a front door, more
Yeah, from the
direct
sounds
access,
of it.
right, from Microsoft server to their system. Now, I know Frank didn't have this issue. I didn't have this issue because I keep that door closed. I keep my system firewall blocked off.
Exactly.
It does what I tell it to do, and I don't hold on to. I don't need if the internet was to go totally out, my computer would still be on, even if the internet was not. It would still work, and it doesn't need to
Exactly.
verify with Microsoft. Same thing with my laptop. I keep it. It doesn't have to be online. It's gonna be running. And well, I haven't messed with that other one. The one it's been 3 years. Oh my gosh. Uh,
Well, you
I
know,
know
this
the
is
priorities for
more Storm's area than it is mine, and you could
right,
put what I know about it in a thimble.
right. But it
you've
seems
got
like
about a thimble more than I've got.
it seems like they're taking the idea behind cell phones, where the cell phone doesn't have all the computing power and all the stuff locally. I mean, in its own device.
Mhm.
But we're talking about desktop computers. We're talking about something that you can get hard drive, get RAM, get extra hardware to make it a standalone machine. But the operating system isn't letting it do that. It's only letting you save documents, pictures, music, and movies and stuff. And well, that's just silly. Okay. Every, I can tell you from a tech perspective, and I'm sure Frank will agree, if you have a network, a system of networks, a system of nodes where you have a single point of failure, if you do one and the whole thing goes down, that's a bad system. That's just a bad.
Yeah.
That's how they started off the new Battlestar Galactica reboot. It's not new anymore, but the Battlestar Galactica reboot, they started off with the Cylons make contact. And what they do, the first thing they do is they turned off the network. They hacked the network, and then they went in and killed everybody because they
Well, that
gave
was
the
a short
command.
show.
Yeah, they gave the command shut down, and everything shut down except whoever was out of range, and it was not that many people. So that was the beginning of the Battlestar Galactica reboot. Aliens attack, shut down the network, and they all get killed. But they weren't okay. They're not aliens. They were Cylons. Totally different thing.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm dense.
What
Cylons aren't human. They aren't from
Cylons?
Earth. Even from the reboot standpoint, if they're not human and they weren't from Earth, they were alien.
Okay, but I meant they weren't. Yes, yes, they're not related to the other. Oh, that's something else. Since I got us all here, and I did get these books, Keith.
I didn't
I
get
am.
it.
I know. You definitely didn't do this. You did your book, but you didn't do this one. I got this book by Elena Danan, right? I know you probably haven't heard of it, but it's a bunch of races. And she has talked about the Galactic Federation, and but let me tell you, first of all, this thing has way too much information. This is like A to Z, you name a detail and it's filled in. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know a lot about this stuff that I know about, but I don't even have all the information. How can she?
She
She's still a
doesn't.
human. And okay, Keith. Okay,
Andromeda.
all right. You see
The rest of
Zygon?
that story, I'm pretty much hooked.
Now, are you familiar with these terms?
I can't even read the term, to be honest with you.
Andromeda and
Okay,
Zygon.
Andromeda I read. Groombridge 34, I have no idea. As far as the system, they go by a whole different setup. But
Right.
the Zygon, that name I've heard before. I'm not sure why.
Okay, well, first of all, it was Doctor Who. Okay, big suckers all over their body, shapeshifters. However, these are supposedly the Zygons. I disbelieve. Just no. They're okay. Can you see that? She's
I
human.
can see that fine.
She's human. Now, I randomly chose this page, right? And let me see. Pale blue skin. And have you ever run across anyone? Well, I know we've all looked at somebody like this. I've even met people who were pale blue, but they were human.
Well, hell, I'm on the line.
Oh
I'm about as pale as you can go.
Yeah, but you missed the blue part.
Oh my
Oh,
God!
not always.
Here's something that
Well,
you
sure.
can now keep in mind, Keith. We have our terms for things. We understand them how we understand them. Right or wrong, it might be a mistranslation from one group or one person to another. But
Yes.
I'm trying to liken one thing to another. Now, this person, there is the author, the author talks about the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And now this is something that you may have a clue about, but maybe in other words, right? Andromedan Envoy Program. Does that sound any kind of familiar?
Well, the fact of the matter is, every one of the races will have an envoy or an envoy or a liaison for working from the consortium to their homeworlds.
Okay.
Another name for the envoy would be a liaison.
Okay. I'm looking here, and these are like these guys are supposed to live up to 2,000 years of our years. Although part of the Galactic Federation, not interested in Terra, Earth, a small group decided to join us by incarnating through the Andromedan Envoy Program.
Oh, no, that's a cute thought.
Right. So, are you familiar with the reincarnation being part of any kind of envoy program where aliens are involved?
No.
Okay. I don't need any more information. That's why I looked at this book, and they're even using the same picture for different things, right?
That's always fun.
And these are all, this book is from this year. This book is brand new, right? This is 2024. And you can tell that these things were not made by artists. They were made by computers. And yeah, that's my stance on it. If you're using a computer for art, you're not even a full artist. You need to I have made art. We have made art. these guys, people who are using strictly computers to make art, you're not being an artist. I'm sorry, not sorry. That's my personal stance, right? Yes, it's artsy and it can be creative sometimes, but until you grab your pen, your pencil, go down to it and develop that creative skill without the help of a computer, I'm sorry, you're cutting yourself off at the knees.
No, I have a question about that book.
Yes.
Is it published under fiction?
Let me see here. I'll have to look where I bought it.
It would actually be on the one of the front pages. I
Right,
can't think what to
the
call
title
it.
page. The
Yeah,
information page.
yeah, where the Library of Congress, or not library, Library of
ISBN.
Congress number is and that stuff.
ISBN
Yeah.
number.
Is it
I'm
under
looking at-
fiction or is it under nonfiction?
It doesn't say. It doesn't mention fiction, nonfiction. Oh, wait, no, that's table of contents. Okay. Yeah, some of these names are taken right from obscure science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that book was pretty pricey, and I'm like,
Yeah.
come on now.
It's likely under sci-fi.
Let me.
So she's not publishing under a presumption of being nonfiction.
Right, I'm looking at where my order when I ordered it, and I'm gonna find out. Encyclopedia Galactica Volume 1. And it's not even the complete thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Elena Danan, Encyclopedia Galactica, and I'm looking for what is it being sold under? I see no reference. It's books, reference, encyclopedias, and subject guides. So according to Amazon, this is a nonfiction book, but I'm sorry, I don't. It's super interesting if you want to write science fiction, but I don't think so, y'all. Yeah, I was.
The science fiction has its place.
Yeah, but
just not on the non-fiction shelf. That's all.
Here we go. Elena Danan. I'm reading the back of the book. Elena Danan, an archaeologist, researcher, author, and international speaker, is also the civilian emissary for the Galactic Federation of Worlds and other galactic organizations.
Okay, I'm just gonna bite my tongue on that.
Yeah,
hey,
me too.
So am I. I run the Quantum Show. I am not only intergalactic, I am interdimensional. There we go. I have just as much clout as this lady. Sorry, Elizabeth Danan or whatever, Elena. I'm going to have to say this is debunked right here because, I'm an experiencer. Two more experiencers. Never experienced these guys. And even though, what's the criticism? Well, you didn't read the whole book. Nah.
Well, that is true.
And I'm not going to vet every single one of these. Ever hear of a Volon?
Who?
Volon.
Well, here's the kicker. I may have. Okay. But I'll give you a primary. The thing is, I may not know them by the same name. Here's the thing. You know Sasquatch. Remember I mentioned the last time I was on, I had the name written down for it and I couldn't remember offhand?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sasquatch is a Weclonicon.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
I mean, that's actually what the name is.
Yes.
The racial name. You know them as Sasquatch. I know them as Weclonicon.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
And I've heard of all, Moody Mago says, I've heard of Varlon from Babylon 5.
Okay.
That's all, Randy.
Have you ever heard, Keith,
More
from your
sci-fi.
of your reckoning of the history of the Federation, the Council, or the group that who the guys that we've been exposed to, right? Have you ever
Right.
heard of any of it at any point in time being called the Council of Five?
There are small councils, but that's not the main council.
Okay. How about? Oh my gosh.
The
Tim's got
council
a
of
good
five
point.
would be, a council of five would be a small council for a very localized area.
All right. Well, I can't say that's not true.
Tim's got a good point here. Let the low quality content die out, and then pan for gold.
Yep.
No, he's right. Don't give it more credence than it deserves.
And also, I am Earth Ambassador of the Quantum Show. Yes. Yes, you are. And here's somebody neat. A human race. Let me take this off the screen. A group of humans known as the Yi Hatarin, four-fingered humans. No. Skip. Do you know of any human offshoots, Keith, that have four fingers?
No, but I know one on Earth that has six.
Okay, right. Me too. I know about that one too.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know them personally, but I've never heard of four-fingered humans.
I've heard of four-fingered hybrids.
Right. This guy is not a hybrid though, so I'm skipping. And these are from the Boots area, the constellation. Carina. Okay, yeah, I just have to say, y'all, there's a lot of. Oh my gosh.
I mean, to be clear there, Nathan, I've only documented, I've got quantifiably documented only 100 races I've put together so far. Sorry, 120.
Okay.
That I've put together so far in two different books. But there are at least 2,500 that I've heard count on.
Okay.
So some of these may well have just not been come across at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I need to. This is not a storyline or anything, but this is just a listing, a reference book, and it doesn't say much about where you can how to contact these guys.
How to contact the elephants or how to contact the people?
The people, the beings, right? And it's being organized. Seems like by the constellation that they come from.
Well,
and I don't know if that would be the best way to do it. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
I just look at it going, the moment somebody says, I am a liaison from such and such, I have yet to find even reference in all my years of anybody. Like, I won't call myself a liaison. And Lord knows, believe me or don't, I've had enough run-ins with different peoples that, I could technically go, oh, I'm a liaison. I'm not.
Right. Because that comes with like responsibilities and abilities that you can like Keith, I can't do it and I have done it. Can you contact somebody right now and have them come on the show?
Yeah, right.
Right. They don't listen to us. They don't want to listen to us. They don't have.
Why should they?
Right. I'm starting to get wound up. I need to stop.
I noticed that.
Sorry about that, y'all.
No, all kidding aside, I mean, if I wanted to, I could say that I am the liaison with the Wawa kingdom of who knows what. I can say anything I want to.
Absolutely.
And at least for the moment I can. And you say anything you want to say.
All right. Moody Mongol has something related to what we were discussing a little while ago. A guy who ran the corner shop near me had two thumbs on each hand, one smaller one, the webbing between his main thumb and index finger, like right here.
Polydactyline.
Right. But he said it was due to some cousins marrying way back. You know what? That sounds like a very convenient explanation. Because if you had two cousins marrying way back, that sounds like vestigial traits, not a birth defect. On each hand,
genetic.
Right.
It's very genetic.
It doesn't sound like, now he's talking about
it falls under the same heading as an eye blue and eye green, or an eye blue and eye brown.
Now, like, there is a tendon. You have to have better lighting and a good camera, not just webcam. There's a tendon that if you move your fingers a certain way, you can see it pop up. And it's called a vestigial organ, from when it served a purpose at one time for some reason, but it's not here anymore. That reason is gone, but the trait is still there. And the cousins marrying way back is a very convenient explanation for people who don't want to look into it. Because if it was a thumb on one hand, that would be a defect. But if it's on both hands and it's part of the construction, that's not a defect, dude. That's a feature. That's not a bug. It's a feature. And
there's all sorts of genetic anomalies in the world.
Yeah.
And two thumbs is one of them, actually. And it comes about on the feet as well.
Well, Joe Monk is coming to this quantum show. The only reason extraterrestrials are visiting Earth is because Uncle Keith lives here. Well, I like to think they're talking to me too. I mean, I got the open invite for coffee. Welcome to the show, Joe. I mean, I never expected to see you here, dude. Thanks for coming by, man.
The fact is, they've been coming here a lot longer than I've physically been here this lifetime. But I've been here many lifetimes past.
Right. But
so theoretically, we could chalk it, but
I'm thinking this is the first time Joe has ever been to the Quantum Show. Joe Monk's a very well-known major player, as far as I'm concerned. Welcome to the Quantum Show. Thanks for coming by. And Moody goes on saying just what he was told by doctors. Yeah, doctors are really good for easy explanations.
Notorious for them.
Right. He parroted that to me. He was totally normal mentally as well. Okay. Well, I'm not going to go through all the human weirdnesses that have happened from inbreeding. Okay. There have been a lot, and none of them they don't work, right? They don't function well. Like, a difference, something would be messed up nasal cavities, right? That is something that happens with inbreeding. Unformed body parts, malformed body parts. That happens. Huh?
The Habsburg chin is a real good example.
Right. And it doesn't have any kind of function. However, if you look at vestigial features like that tendon or the coccyx, we have a tail. It is not present anymore, but you can see it in every x-ray, every diagram, that it's there. It's back there. We all have it because that was a feature at one point in time.
Well, there's an occasional child that's born with a tail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And usually they get amputated at birth.
Oh, yeah. Right. They just have a little longer coccyx.
Right.
They don't dare go up too far.
Right. It's vestigial, meaning it had a function at one time, but that the reason for that function is no longer here, so it's not there anymore. Our sinuses have a function that is not really, I've heard it's an air filter, okay? Because it blocks, it traps. It's like a baffle in your. If you look at an air filter on a car, it's literally designed like a sinus cavity because it slows down the air, regulates the pressure, and filters. Okay, the air baffle. If you open up, take the air filter out, and you see all this piping and tubing, and there's a reason it literally mimics the sinus cavity. That's where engineering and nature kind of meet, but the engineers don't really realize it. You know, they see air pressure, filtration, regulation. They see all that, but they don't. The doctors don't want to think. Well, that's what the sinuses are doing. And I've got a story that I'm not going to relay here on the Quantum Show, where my sinuses saved me by being a baffle, regulator, and filter. And it had to do with something I breathed in that I shouldn't have been breathing. And it didn't even affect me. And it expelled later. I sneezed and it did its job.
See, mine did it the other way. I ended up finding out I could breathe low grade when I was a lot younger. Found out I could breathe low grade hydrochloric gas. Really neat trick. Unfortunately, the school got really unhappy about it.
What kind of gas?
Hydrochloric.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
wow.
hydrochloric acid will screw you up in a hurry.
Yeah,
I don't know. People have been taking acid for years. It screws them up. I take one dose of hydrochloric, they threw me out of chemistry.
Oh. Moody goes on to talk about the guy. Also, apparently, he could grow back the tips of his fingers because of whatever feature this was. Something we can all do, apparently, but it's not guaranteed. His issue meant it would always happen for him. Yeah, we can grow back things. It's a genetic feature that's been turned off. And it's like type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes, the organ gets a command to stop because of for whatever reason.
But you can turn it back on.
Right. How do we turn it back on? We figured out a way in Europe, but they don't ever want to talk about this, right? What they say is they take the person who has it, type 1, and they grow new stem cells from healthy tissue it's a complicated process, right?
Well, no doubt.
And actually, it's a real simple process. That's the problem. They've complicated it so you think it's a difficult one.
Right. To hear it explained, it's super complicated. However,
so they grow stem cell to tell this thing what to do with itself.
Right. They grow stem cells that become pancreatic cells, and now those cells have the correct instruction. They inject those cells, and it passes along that instruction. Now, this is how it's been explained to me, to the rest of the pancreas. And instead of growing a new pancreas, it gives the new command. Now, so I want someone to come in here. Keith, you go ahead. Go ahead.
After being diagnosed mentally retarded, they put me into a course in theoretical genetics. And here's the kicker that they won't tell you in school or in the hospital. You can reprogram, power of mind. You can reprogram any cell in your body to refire a different command and operate in a different fashion. It literally boils down to you going, I've got no use for type 1 diabetes, or I got no use for type 2, and literally tell your body to correct it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that takes some mental discipline that we just we've somehow lost along the way.
Take a look at the video machine. I might explain somehow.
The what? Take a look at the what?
Video games. As technology evolved, people quit thinking, and they started letting the machines do what they were supposed to think about.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
This is one of those topics that I will go into on my stream in a lot more detail in the coming weeks.
Okay.
That's an interesting concept. Really is.
That one falls under the self-help when we get to the physical side.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And okay, Joe is chiming in. I've been through some horrific incidents involving injury to my body over the years. I knew that I would have absolutely massive scars and a lot of them on my face. Today, you can't find them. Correct. Some of us have learned that we can heal ourselves. I can't even find it anymore. When I was a little kid, I hit myself on barbed wire. It scarred my finger. The scar is gone. And you know when it happened? When I started doing this Atlantis research 2 years ago. All this started these weird things started happening to me 2 years ago, because you know what? I decided I believe. That was it. I refuse to disbelieve. Now,
So you're not going to cooperate with the program, huh?
right? No, I'm not. And
I
that's
can
another.
appreciate that.
Yeah, that's another thing that makes us a danger to the fearmongers and the programmers out there. We manifest against it. Well, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And
well, it's like I keep telling people, you know, when I was 5, I was diagnosed dead. I didn't agree with the diagnosis, so I left the morgue.
Right.
There you go.
Okay.
You know, they so often will tell you, go home and get your affairs in order, and you know,
I'm not going to have an affair. She'll kill me.
There you go.
Moody's going on. I want to read it out. I think you're right, Nate. Science has looked into it. Stem cells was one outcome of the research, but as you said, I bet there are other better methods not in the public eye. Yeah, look at everything in Europe. Europe has gotten treatments that are not allowed in the United States because it would literally cripple the healthcare system. And
what it would do was force the healthcare system to heal people instead of keep them on a tether.
Well, yeah. Sadly, it's sad to say, healthy people do not pay hospital bills.
That's right.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I didn't really want to go here, and I think we should steer away from this topic because it's incendiary, right?
Right.
It'll get you locked out.
Right. It's an incendiary topic. But Moody's going on. I agree with Keith. What we call mind over matter can be used to control unconscious body features like self-healing, self-regulating our own body temperature, etc. And I have done that using
more accurately, you gotta be mind over body.
Mind over body, right? I have done that
too. I do it daily.
It's one of those things in a few weeks we're actually going to be. It's one of those topics, Leanne, that when we get down to the mental health physical in a few weeks, we will cover the self-healing side of it.
I'm looking forward to that.
I am too.
Keith, I might need a booster class on vision, healing your vision. I may need a booster class on healing your vision. I know you've explained it to me before, but I can be kind of hard-headed sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's too bad you don't live closer to Las Cruces and sit down with you.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. But
there'll be other times, I'm sure.
There will be times. I'm sure you're going to go over it on your own stream. And
I am.
I want to look at.
Yeah. This week we're just dealing with the mental side of it.
Okay.
You know, it's all mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter.
I found out the problems with the car. If I don't know about it, the car will work fine.
Yeah, and I've got cool stories about that. Aussie reminds us all, please like and subscribe. If you're here, you're quantum, and he is 100% true. I can verify that. And I will challenge all of science. Tell me I'm wrong. He is quantum. Tell me I'm wrong. I will verify
I'm not telling you nothing.
But
I know nothing.
But yeah, real quick, I've told this story before, but it was kind of a mind over matter and mind over body thing. Two incidents that I had that were crazy cool. One day, I was cooking. I was living in El Paso, and it was a little further along, not the beginning, but I was cooking, and I decided I need to cut some onions. And I'm cutting onions, and I'm going, man, this smells pretty strong. And then now that's manifestation me right there. That was started cutting the onions. I'm like, man, that smells pretty strong. These are good onions, right? And then I go, and then logic me, earth me steps in and says, man, don't most people cry when they have onions? Boom! It just hit me like that.
Yeah.
Because I had decided I'm gonna cut the onions and it's not gonna bother me, but I'm gonna enjoy the smell. But it didn't mess with my eyes until I remembered it's supposed to mess with my eyes.
Yeah.
And then it messed with my tear ducts and stuff. That was one incident. The other incident was, I know I've told this one too, but I had a razor, razor with a removable blade, safety razor with a removable blade, like a big 5 points, whatever. And it was dim. I had put it on backwards. This was actually in high school. I had put it on backwards by mistake, not paying attention to what I was doing. And I used it. It worked. It acted like a razor that wasn't sharp. Like it was a few, I let them go generally for about 2 weeks. It was like about a week old. I was like, man, this is a brand new head. I wonder why bless you. I wonder why it's doing that. And I looked at it. It was backwards. It shouldn't have worked at all. But it worked. It totally worked.
I did one better than you there, Nathan.
Go ahead.
I took a 3-headed Phillips electric razor. The normal, everyday razor.
No, the electric one.
The electric one. Put it against my jaw at the top of right below the end of the ear. And tore my throat out with it all the way to the front of the trachea.
Yeah, that's not supposed to happen.
Well, first and foremost, not supposed to happen. Second of all, don't do this. I lived through it. The t-shirt I was wearing was right off. I missed the carotid, in case you couldn't tell.
Right.
You shouldn't be able to do that with an electric razor.
No.
Not the head clipper. I mean the 3-head.
Right. Right. The ones with the little round recessed, and you turn it on and you push it against your face and you push it against whatever. And it's a safety razor because it's on the stuff is on the inside of this.
Yeah, it can only cut the stuff going through.
Right.
Only I took my hand 3/4 of my throat out.
Yeah.
Don't have a scar. I did have witness when he showed up. My game master showed up. My whole shirt was just soaked. Right. And this is why I don't use a razor like yours. Because you can picture what that would do to my throat.
Right. Moody is saying, imagine being able to tell your white blood cells to reproduce, then go to a specific location in the body. Philosophically speaking, we would be commanding the creatures that live in our universe. Yeah. And
that's Moody, did you say? Yeah.
Yeah.
Moody. That's not just a question of imagining. This is literally why I've got a healing rate that's just insane. Is because I literally have figured out how to do it.
Same. And
And the old masters can too.
yeah, herbally speaking, I read and cross-verified with several places, you can do this too, that cacao, not cocoa, cocoa is processed and it's got a bunch of
Right.
other stuff in it, but cacao causes stem cells to go be produced in the body when you drink it at least twice a month. It's been almost every cup of coffee for the past month, and it works.
Where
One
did
of
you get it?
I got it from Amazon. You can get it in like whole places like Whole Foods and
Yeah. They're
the
called
fancy.
cacao nibs, right?
That is a brand. That's a brand. Nibs are a brand.
I see.
Let me bring
Is
it up.
it is it still spelled the same way?
CACAO. No,
Yeah.
it's not spelled the same way.
Well,
It's
that's how I always spelled the other one. So
right. Let me bring up what I bought, and I can verify for me it works. It's not the cheapest stuff in the world, but it's not super expensive either because it goes forever.
I will tell you, losing an arm is a lot more expensive than buying that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Here. And I will share the screen.
I would think a certain amount of meditation going along with that treatment wouldn't hurt anything. There it is.
Not at all. That is what I got. Cacao powder. And it doesn't have to be this one. It's just something, right? And what did I pay for it? $20. This bag is lasting. I bought it a month ago, and I have barely gotten through the top part of this bag. It is it's super powdery. It's like baking powder, except made from cacao. And
Yeah.
it is the first. Okay, now what I'm wanting it to treat is vascular degeneration. It's working. My blood flow is better, and it's working. I can say it is working. And I haven't really changed much in my diet otherwise. And it tastes really good too. It is not sweetened. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
You might want to add stevia or something.
or something like with the coffee. Now, not this one because I was kind of in a hurry to get back. It's honey and creamer and cacao. So good. And it doesn't mix very well. You got to
please tell me you're using unpasteurized honey.
Unpasteurized, unfiltered, well, lightly filtered. They want to get they sell the comb separate. It's more expensive.
Yeah.
It's unpasteurized, unprocessed.
Yeah, but you can get a product similar to it, or maybe a couple different ones at Walmart. Walmart has opened up so much in the way of some of those more natural products.
See, I don't
Target,
like
some of those.
Yeah, I can vouch for this stuff because that's what I use.
I know there's a place I gotta check out that's just opened up that may carry that, and I'll go double check them because I'm looking at rebuilding what my system has lost. For me, my big issue is my teeth. I can't go to a dentist.
Yeah,
I've already started one process on that, but I'm quite willing to take a look at that one.
Oh, by the way, I also combined it with what you mentioned. It's strontium, potassium, magnesium, and I took a note. I tried it for a time too. Collagen.
Yeah,
it didn't work. I mean, I got no noticeable results, and the deterioration continued. So I'm just leaving that one alone. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Along with the cacao. Go ahead, Keith.
And well, let's face it, my system does not work with most things that work with other people.
Right.
So I'm gambling at best.
I gave it an honest shot. I was like, I will do anything at this point. And it didn't. Apparently, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for my physiology, so that's fine.
Oh, that's fantastic, Timothy. Best place to get honey.
Awesome.
It's always good to buy local. It's more efficient for what's going on
Right.
with you, whether it's allergies or what.
You know what, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
I may get with you about hydrogen, using hydrogen for fuel, because you have a
Don't be carried
motivation.
away like they did with the Hindenburg.
No, not that. No, as fuel. Not as a levitation thing. Not as an inert gas. It is not an inert gas. You do not mess with hydrogen like that. But there is a way to use hydrogen in cars, and it won't blow up on you. And if it does, there's a design. It's called a check. It's not a check valve, but a blow off valve. And your car doesn't even quit running. They've been doing it with other things like propane for a long time. Except the difference is, propane you can put in a tank relatively safely. Hydrogen you cannot.
So how would you use it?
You just have to compare it to the right thing to call it relatively safe.
Right. Okay. Here is the general idea. Take a bottle of water, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's electrolysis. You take a bottle of water, you put two emitters in there, two wires, and you go one positive, one negative. Okay? Now you seal it up with the wire sticking down there, positive and negative. You put your voltage down in there, it starts to bubble up. You have to keep the wires separate. The electricity going from 1 to 1 is breaking the water apart into hydrogen and oxygen. Now you have a tube going. Now this is the Brown's gas version. There's another version, right? A single tube going to your carburetor. You crank you turn this on, right? It starts to bubble up. It starts to build pressure. You don't want that. However, it's hydrogen oxygen uncombined at this point. So worst case, it'll make more water. It'll increase pressure, make more water. You turn your key on, this turns on, starts bubbling. It starts to turn over. It starts to suck out of this bottle. It creates a negative pressure from the car engine to this bottle. Now it's breaking apart. Gas takes more room. You want to feed more water in, right? It starts sucking it in, and you have to have some kind of regulation circuit. This is where I don't know about, right? It will suck it in to the intake of your car. You put it on, you hose to intake, more water going in here, electricity positive and negative. There's voltages and amperages that have to be nailed down. You have it going in there. It will replace gasoline. And you have no bottles of hydrogen sitting around ready to become explosive. And that is not storing hydrogen. That is putting hydrogen
No,
in.
it's creating a chemical reaction.
Right. Now that is the brown gas method. The Doc Brown, if you must, right? That was Doc Brown.
Okay.
Now there is another way to do it. You take a bottle. You put a separator from the top where the lid is all the way down to about the bottom of the bottle here, right? It's separated. Put water in it, both sides. You put the wires near the separators, positive, negative. You keep them separate all the way up to the top. Now, along one wire, it will cause the hydrogen to extract from. On the other one, it will gather oxygen. The reason you keep the separator with a channel but below it, right, is because you don't want, you're basically making, if you keep it totally separate, it's not going to do anything because you're creating a difference that the closed bottle will it just won't work, right? I'm not going to get into the big explanation for it. But then
No, I get it.
you take your one line out here, your other line out the other side, and then you can keep them separate the whole time to your intake. Now, this is where you have what you call a vacuum canister. Frank, please verify or deny what I'm saying on the fly after the show, whatever, right? You take it to your vacuum canister. You go one, you keep them separate. One to one canister, one to the other. They're coffee cans, right? And then you keep it going 2 more lines going from one to one to your intake.
Okay,
And right, you have 2 lines with 2 canisters going from 2 separate places, but it has that separator stopping right there. So it's one thing of water. The ions and electrons are still separating the water. Hydrogen and oxygen are coming out 2 different lines, going 2 different paths the entire time on a negative pressure system. It took me years to figure out how to make that work and how to understand it. It goes into your intake and they combine under different circumstances. They do not create water. And you have your blow off valve somewhere in the system. If it needs to be there, it will pop off and reclose, or you close it manually, depending on which design you go by.
Well, that makes sense. It makes good sense. I assume this is what they're referring to by using water for fuel.
Yes.
Yeah, that was designed way back. They've got an engine, a ceramic engine, that runs on tap water. Presumably, that's the way to do it.
I've heard of that ceramic engine. I haven't been able to look it back up. Did he hear all this stuff?
Frank, did you hear all that? Can you verify it?
Can I verify it?
No, Frank.
Sorry? I can't verify. Okay, because you don't know about the system. Yeah, he says he can't verify it. He's never seen a system that works on it.
Okay, yeah, it's really not that complicated. I mean, if I can describe it in just a few minutes.
The theory is sound.
The theory, and I could do this if I had a setup with batteries, and like I could make this happen with
Frank
a small.
With batteries.
I want to do this with a small engine, right? I want to do this with like a Briggs & Stratton 5 horsepower, 3 horsepower, whatever, just to see it work.
Yeah, he's saying that it'd work.
Joe Monk says, figure out how to run a car on water and you're going to end up accidentally in a landfill. You are correct. This is the kind of stuff that oil companies...
carburetors more efficient too.
That particular engine came out back in the late 70s, early 80s.
I'm going to have to look that back up because you are correct, sir. I'm going to look up the guy's name. I can't remember his name right now. Stanley Meyer. He was building stuff in the 70s.
My grandfather was working on.
Yeah.
Oh, right. That expander thing, that fume.
Yeah.
I remember.
That's something we can't talk about right here.
You know what? Well, here's what somebody else did, right? And I think I can talk about this. He took a 1975 Ford Maverick with a V8, a 302, right? Somebody said
took a 302 to a V8.
Well, no, the 302 cubic inch diameter engine. Okay. This is a tech thing. Don't interrupt me. I'm joking. But
just
for funsies. He figured he did this for funsies, not even expecting it to work. He took this car with this larger engine, and he took a carburetor off of like a Cub Cadet lawnmower. It's very small, okay? Very small. But it's a very good quality. Good quality parts. Is we're not talking about, some stuff that you buy on Temu, okay? This is
That's
the good
right.
stuff. The good stuff. And okay, surprisingly, it worked. He got 45 miles a gallon at 75 miles an hour
Mm-hmm.
on a carburetor that fits in your hand, in your
Right.
pocket, not
I
including.
wouldn't recommend running the engine with the carburetor in your pocket.
Mm-mm. But now, what seems to have happened was he came to the accidental finding that the jets and the Venturi was so small, it was creating such a vacuum, it was atomizing the fuel prematurely. Does that
Right.
sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. It was atomizing it prematurely because it created a big low pressure system in this tiny, it had a hole about, I don't know, the size of, this was the intake hole, right? The size of a Sharpie pen, okay? Half an inch. The intake holes for a carburetor that size are like this big, and there's two of them, okay? Let me just note the difference. There goes
Yeah.
my Sharpie. Okay? Two of these versus one of these, right? We're talking about a lawnmower. And now there's a lot of vacuum inside a 302 intake stroke, okay? It was pulling that fuel through the high quality Venturi of that tiny, tiny carburetor. And it was so restricted, it created a low pressure zone inside the intake manifold, right? And now he wasn't even trying. He was wanting it to go 5 miles an hour, and as a joke, say, "Look, I fixed a vintage car." It goes 5 miles an hour with off the shelf parts, but instead he stumbled across the atomization of fuel by accident, and he went
Yeah.
45
Storm
miles
is
a gallon. 45
Storm
miles.
is saying what his uncle or his grandfather discovered.
Hmm.
He's got it there in chat.
Okay. Yeah. It was a 351. Now that's a big block, y'all. Okay.
Oh boy, is it.
That's a big block. That's not a 302,
Yeah.
which is a small block.
Mm-mm.
125 miles a gallon.
Yeah.
That will get somebody killed. I'm surprised this dude with his Maverick is still alive, but he
He
didn't do
probably
it.
didn't try and sell it.
Well, what they did, they took it from him. They stole it. They said, "You will hand it over, or we will dispose of you and your family." How
Right.
about that?
And now they're doing all kinds of stuff like this in other countries where they don't really have purview, and now this dude on YouTube who makes hot rods put a lawnmower carburetor on a small block V8, and it worked. And it worked well.
Mm-hmm. People
And
are tired of their bullshit.
yeah, and
Simple as that.
he wasn't even trying to do anything fun or interesting, or he was trying to. It was a prank. Someone said,
I
"I
have
bet."
a problem here, guys.
What's up, Keith?
I love the conversation. I love the way that everybody's interacting. Unfortunately, I don't love the way my system is starting to crash.
Need to eat, huh?
Need to eat and probably need to sleep. I've been up since 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, Keith.
Sounds to
You
me
don't-
like you're crashing out.
Yeah, you don't have to push yourself for this little show, Keith. Thank you for coming by. You can go. You can take care of yourself, man. No
All right.
problem. We're beyond 2 hours anyway. I'm about to cut off the show.
Oh, you know, I will wait for you to close down if you're doing that. But
Okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, y'all. We are 2 hours and almost 20 minutes in. Everybody, thanks for coming to the Quantum panel. We have a lot of surprise people coming in. Joe Monk, I did not expect you to come by. Thanks, man. You're like a heavy hitter in the paranormal radio, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah, I love it when he drops in on my stream.
It's
yeah,
always
and
great to see him.
and everybody else coming by, Aussie, Tim, Storm, Moody Mongol. We've got some other people in here. A lot of people had to cut out earlier.
Yeah.
Joe, Raven. Who we got? Yeah.
Renee.
Oh, Renee was in,
Renee. OB2 was here earlier.
Of course,
I
Tim.
missed her.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a her. That's Rachel Andrews Frick.
Yeah.
See, the joke
I
is,
just didn't see her come in. I saw Renee come in.
yeah, she was here.
I don't think I saw Rachel, but I did see Renee. Edgar Signs.
Edgar was here. He was.
He says that Forrest Gump wants to be on the show. I don't know about.
I don't know how we're going to get him here. He died.
I think he said he had pancakes with him. So we'll see about that.
There's always pancakes. Okay. But thanks everybody. Bigfoot conference next week. I will be coming to y'all next week from the conference, either in the conference, probably not the conference, but just like I did last year, from the parking lot, from the driveway of my buddy's house. Now I've got a really good camera. Might see some UFOs in the sky. Never know. I got a better camera now. Last year I used this and it didn't do well at all. We were barely here.
Camera.
Yeah, this is a much better camera. So everybody, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. You're keeping it quantum. I'm gonna push some buttons now. We all gotta go because we're over 2 hours. We're at 2:22. Perfect. Y'all have a good rest of the night. Everybody listening, whoever on Facebook and Rumble, if anybody, thanks for being here. Pushing buttons. Y'all have a good night, Keith and Lynn.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. Good night.
Pushing buttons.